December, I believe it was 16th or something around there, 2008, at like some really early time in the morning, I went in for my spinal fusion. Welcome back, pagers. So today's video is another sit down, not vlog. I know, boring. So June is Scoliosis Awareness Month, and I was diagnosed with scoliosis in 2000. Bless you. Okay, you good? Settle. I was diagnosed with scoliosis in, I want to say 2007. It was probably 2006 to 2000. No, I would have to say it was 2007 because I had my surgery in 2008. Somewhere, something like that. I have been wanting to do a video on scoliosis for a pretty long time now, just because it's not really known, I guess, and people see my scar and they're like, oh, what was that from? And I'm like, because I had scoliosis. And they're like, oh, what's that? So I'm gonna educate you on something that you could or could not know, and if you don't know it, you're getting educated. You're welcome. I'm gonna give a bit of an education portion before I get into like my personal story, just so you're fully aware and immersed in exactly what's going on. So scoliosis is obviously the curving of the spine. It can be an S shape, it can be a C shape. Mine was an S. That means there's two curves. Yeah, there's two curves. And a C is just one. There are a few types of scoliosis. It depends on when it's diagnosed, how old you are when it's found, and just all sorts of things. So mine was adolescent idiopathic scoliosis. That means that I was between the age of 10 and 18 when it was diagnosed. I believe I had to have been 13 because I was 14 when I had my surgery. The kind I had is the most common kind. So scoliosis, it really occurs more often in girls than boys, and normally it occurs within like before puberty and while you're growing and developing and all of that stuff. Just because it's more common in girls doesn't mean that boys don't get it, and it can happen in adults. It depends on you, I guess. I know that sometimes, or they used to do like screenings in schools. I don't think I ever got that, or they would have caught it before like my mom did. So some causes, mine, we didn't really know what it was caused by, but it can be caused by a hormonal imbalance, asymmetrical growth, or a muscular imbalance, or it can be like hereditary, or it can be like me where it could be hereditary, but we also like don't know. As for symptoms, for me personally, there weren't any symptoms. I didn't have any back pain. I didn't have, I don't know, normally back pain would be like, you would think, the most common thing, but I guess it's not really until it gets more severe that you can actually notice symptoms or feel symptoms or really anything. It's more just the physical aspect of it that you can actually tell when someone has it, depending on how severe it is. Like, I know for me personally, or in general, if someone has scoliosis to a certain extent, you can tell because, you know, one of their shoulders, I'm sitting like this, but pulled back, my shoulders actually look like this. Shoulders might be like lopsided a little bit. Apparently mine were. Hips could be, you can't see my hips, but your hips could be, one could be higher than the other. I know when the spine like curves, it causes to push like the muscle over and causing like a hump in your back where, you know, your muscle is being pushed. And for me, I had two, and one on the top, and I believe mine went like this, I think. So I had a large part on the bottom lower right, and then on the top upper left. So that is how my mom actually found out about it, is because I was sitting, I remember the day actually, I was sitting on the floor watching TV and she was on the couch behind me, and I felt her and she's like, "What's this thing on your back?" And I was like, "I don't know, what are you talking about? There's nothing on my back, stop touching me." I didn't think there was anything wrong with me. I never physically like paid attention, like, oh, this is not normal, or really anything. I didn't think there was anything wrong with me. And then she took me to the doctor and then they found out I had scoliosis. So there's like 2 ways for me personally that we found out, I guess. So it's called the Adams forward bend test, and it's where you will bend down front and then touch your toes, and the doctor will stand behind you and they'll check your back to make sure that to see if there is like a lump, like I was talking about, in your spine, or if, you know, one of your hips is higher than the other, stuff like that. And that is the easiest way to see without doing x-rays, because obviously, you know, x-rays are the easiest other way to see because they can actually see your bones. Then there's, you know, treatment, and treatment is, I don't know, people probably have their like natural ways of healing, but you do you. I personally had surgery. So there's a brace, which will not cure or reverse scoliosis. It'll just prevent it from getting worse, which in my case, I wasn't down for that. So instead I had surgery, and the surgery is a spinal fusion, which I will insert pictures of later. For me personally, they took 2 rods and screwed screws into my spine, and I have rods in my back, so I can sit up perfectly straight all the time. Which some people think like, oh, you're so proper because you sit up so straight all the time. No, it's because I got rods, like titanium, supporting it, and I can't slouch. So now for my personal story, which I'm sure you are all waiting for so patiently. December, I believe it was 16th or something around there, 2008. At like some really early time in the morning, I went in for my spinal fusion. It literally wasn't even that bad. I was also high on that button, whatever they put in that was my best friend. My curves, I had the S-shaped scoliosis. I can't remember which one was worse, but you'll see it in the picture that I put up, that one of the curves was like 45 and then the other one was like 60 something, I believe. I'll put the picture up here. That's my spine before and after. There you go. You're welcome. So I believe the surgery lasted like 7 to 8 hours. I don't really remember, obviously, because I was like knocked out, but I just remember waking up. I think some family was there. I don't really remember. I was kind of out of it. I couldn't really talk because I had like the tube down my throat, or however that was happening. Something to do with my throat, because I couldn't talk very well. And then I was eating ice chips, and that's like all I could eat for like a little while, and that sucked. But I do know the very first thing I actually ate, I think I got pancakes. I think chocolate milk or apple juice. Chocolate milk, probably was chocolate milk, because, and ham and cheese roll-ups, because I was craving those, and those are always so good, and like, why would you not want ham and cheese roll-ups? Odd combo, I know, and I didn't eat like any of it. So after my surgery, I was in the hospital for like 6 or 7 days after, about maybe 5 to 6 days, or maybe it was a week. I don't really know. I was just having, you know, a grand old time. I had to do physical therapy. That was fun. The hardest part was getting out of bed. So normally they would help me like get out of bed until like they didn't, and then they were like, hey, you gotta do this on your own. So being stiff and straight and not being used to like not being able to move my spine, or like just my hips. I don't know, it was really frustrating, and it was just really frustrating because I wasn't used to it and moving in a different way. And so normally, and like you get up and you get out of bed, but for me it was, I can't just like sit up and like pop up out of bed like you can when you're doing like a sit up. So I like have to lay on my side and then like push myself up, and then have to like pull the sheets. So I would like get closer and closer to the edge of the bed. I could not pull myself to the edge of the bed for the life of me, and they were like, you have to move your hips, and I was like, I can't. I eventually learned how to like maneuver my hips, and it was just so hard trying to do that and get myself to the edge of the bed so I could get out and off and just go. I had to learn how to re-go upstairs. They would walk with me around the floor. Then they had like this little staircase with like 3 or 4 steps that I would have to go up and down. But like the fun thing is like they had this little like movie thing going on, so they were playing Horton Hears a Who, and it was great. I actually ended up getting the movie after because it was really good, and I just like sat in my little chair and had some snacks and watched a movie, and then I went back to my room and it was great. Oh, the one thing I didn't like, I still have scars from them on like my lower back, but they had these like tubes, I guess, going up my spine, like in my back, and they were apparently really long. I couldn't feel them coming out, but my mom watched and she was like, that's gross. And then I had like these 2 bags like attached to my gown that was capturing all of the blood. It was really disgusting. Ew. I don't really remember much else from like in my hospital stay, but once I got home, that was interesting. My mom had to help shower me because I wasn't used to doing it alone, and I couldn't like scrub my body because I couldn't like twist or anything, and I wasn't used to doing that, so that was fun. Shaving, yeah, couldn't do that. I was home for a couple of days, and then I went to school. I was in 9th grade when that happened, so I mean it wasn't really a whole lot to say there. I mean, I missed maybe 2 weeks of school max. So how am I now? I have a lot of pain. I have a lot of pain in my lower back. I have nerve damage. Wow, I'm making this sound so bad. I have nerve damage in where like my mid upper back, where my bra strap would go, and then also in the lower back where like near like right at like where my hips are, I guess. Yeah, like where my hips are, and like down in like the middle, I guess. And it's numb there, so that's great. Can't feel anything. I don't like when people touch my back at all. Absolutely hate it. Oh, and it's also numb like right here. God, ew. Yeah, it's numb right there. And then I have like pinched nerves in my shoulders. I had a pinched nerve right here once. A lot of pinched nerves, a lot of nerve damage. I guess that can happen with like any surgery, so like that's not a big deal. I definitely have more pain now than before, but I'm definitely glad that I had the surgery, because if I didn't, it could have gotten worse, and if it did, then that can cause like heart and lung problems, because you know, once the curves increase, they cause like rotation in your spine, and it can cause like squishing of your organs and cause them to not, function properly. So that's great. Oh, this also like crushed my hopes and dreams of like ever being a cheerleader, so there's that. I'm not petty about that at all. If I missed anything, I'm sorry. That's my story on my scoliosis and a little education for you. So if you are curious, if you have any questions, you could Google it, or you could ask me. I'd rather you ask me, because I think that's fun when people are like interested in knowing more about something that they didn't know of before. And scoliosis is something that I like to think that I know a lot about. I actually wrote a paper in college called When Life Throws You a Curve, or something like that. And it was a research paper on scoliosis and basically a paper format of this video. So if you have any questions, feel free to message me on my social media, which is on the banner in my, I don't know why I'm pointing over here. It's in the banner on my channel, and or you can just like message me in the comments because I love those. So here I am sucking to make an outro to a video as always, because when am I ever really good at that? I'm trying to post more often. I really am. I'm really sorry that I suck at it. You would think that, you know, I've reached my goal. I would maybe try to make a little more consistency in my content, but no, not really. But you know, feel free to watch all of my other videos. They're probably way more entertaining than this one. I mean, depending on what kind of videos that you like. You know, I make vlogs and I make vlogs. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.